I didn't think it was a well-coached game by Mike Tomlin. It was kind of typical. The details weren't good. But I'm sitting there thinking, it doesn't matter if I have timeouts. If I can't stop Jacksonville, and they didn't have a 3-and-out all game. I mean, it was literally, Jacksonville was so good on third down. Is Mike Tomlin thinking, well, at least I have a chance, maybe 8 to 12% of getting an onside kick? Now, typical of a Tomlin team that didn't execute particularly well. The Steelers are very much home run baseball team under Mike Tomlin. They hit a bunch of home runs. They're not good at the sacrifice. They're not good at analytics. They're not good at details. They're not good in late games. They're great hitting home runs. They're a baseball team with a lot of power. That's what the Steelers are. But, you could make the argument, if I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm thinking, I haven't forced these guys on a 3-and-out all day. Why not? I'm not getting the ball back. At least this gives me 8 to 12% chance. That would be my defense of Mike Tomlin. I wouldn't have done it, but I can understand it. It'd be one thing if Pittsburgh had held Jacksonville all day. And all day we've been sitting there for 3.5 hours. It was a 21-20 game. Then you kick the ball deep. But I think Tomlin's sitting there. He's on the sideline right over the football, and he's like, we're not getting a push. We can't stop them. So what's the point of me kicking it down there and never getting the ball again? At least this gives me 8% chance to get the ball back. That play, though I wouldn't have done it, I could defend him on. Some of the other stuff I didn't love. But, Pittsburgh's defense, since Ryan Shazier left, has been awful, which is hard to figure out because Dante Hightower left the Patriots. Their defense got better. And Philadelphia lost Jordan Hicks. Their defense got better. Ryan Shazier leaves Pittsburgh. They've gone completely into the tank. Pittsburgh's not even an average defense. And here's the thing. Jacksonville matches up with New England pretty well. Pittsburgh doesn't. You watch this. If Blake Bortles did that to Pittsburgh, what was Brady going to do? Because Brady has got a terrific group of wide receivers, the best running backs I think he's ever had, and Gronk, when healthy, is still the best tight end in football with Travis Kelce. So I just don't think Pittsburgh matches up this year at all. Without Ryan Shazier, I think New England would have had the football 37 minutes of the football game. So I don't think Pittsburgh, I'm watching this and I'm thinking, if Blake Bortles is this good and that staff is this good on third down, forget it. Forget it. As New England matches up very well this year, New England does with Pittsburgh. They really do. And I don't think Belichick, Tomlin, I always trust Belichick in those close games. The other thing is, I don't like wide receivers. It's not true. I like wide receivers, but I think there's limitations to what they do. And I always say they're the icing. They're not the cake. Now, by the way, cake is always better with icing. It is. Most cakes are better with icing. But by the way, Pittsburgh's receiving core is now out. Rams out. Atlanta out. KC out. Giants, Oakland, Detroit, great staffs, never got in. This is my point. Antonio Brown was the most amazing athlete on the field. They're not advancing. By the way, New England lost their best receiver before the season. They're in the AFC Championship. Jacksonville lost their best receiver after week 1. They're in the AFC Championship. And Philadelphia's got below average wide receivers. I'm not saying receivers don't matter. I always joke they're a little bit like convertible sports cars. They're fun, they're flashy, they're talked about, they're sexy, they're glamorous. But when the weather gets cold, they're limited. Cold weather football, generally speaking, wide receivers have limitations. It's windy. You're not going to throw the vertical balls that much. Now, we have a situation this weekend where you're going to have a game in Foxborough. The weather apparently, according to, we looked it up this morning, is like 45 degrees. That's another reason why Jacksonville's not going into a blizzard.
That's balmy for Boston.
Yeah. We've both lived there. It's going to be 45, 46 degrees. If I'm Jacksonville, you're crossing your fingers in January. If you'd have said before the year you'll play in the AFC Championship, what's the weather? You would have never guessed 45 degrees on a weekend in Foxborough in late January, or mid-January. So I think they've got a real fighter's chance. Christine with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Last week, Le'Veon Bell said that he would consider sitting out if the Steelers decided to franchise tag him again. And by the way, that franchise tag would be around $14.5 million. Now it seems like he's maybe changing his tune or saying at least that he does want to stay.
Is it your preference to stay?
Of course. I never want to leave this, city, but obviously, circumstances, things like that. But I definitely don't. That's for the guys upstairs to handle all that. I'm just a player. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, so hopefully, we get a lot of people back. Make a run next year.
Okay, maybe he will still sit out, actually. What do you think about this? Because I saw you rolling your eyes.
Well, I mean, let's say they franchise him. I was talking to a friend about this yesterday. We went for a jog on Sunday morning, and I'm like, so he was the highest paid running back this year. He'll be the highest paid running back next year. If they franchise him again, he'd be the highest paid or second highest paid running back the third year. Players got to stop complaining. If your career, very little money in the NFL is guaranteed. Nobody wants to get franchised, but Kirk Cousins now is making more money than he would if he didn't get franchised. Don't worry about year 5. If somebody's paying you $22 million and you're not worth $22 million in America, take it and run. So, I mean, I look, Kirk Cousins right now is making about 30% more than he would on a long-term contract. Like, what is he? I don't understand what these guys complain about. You agreed to it as part of your collective bargaining, and it's not like the franchise
that doesn't
tag.
mean that everyone agreed to it.
No, but it's like, then voice your opinion. I mean, players agree to stuff, and then they're furious
But
years
the reason
later.
that they agree is because they don't want a lockout. And unfortunately, there aren't enough players that make enough money that can afford a lockout. It's not fair.
The average salary now is over $1 million. You can afford a 3-month lockout. Owners don't want lockouts either.
The average salary, but some of those guys aren't making anywhere near $1 million.
The players that are important are all making well over $3 million a year.
Those aren't the only players that get a vote.
Those are the only players that teams and league reps truly care about. You want to take care of your stars.
I'm saying, but in a negotiation, in a CBA negotiation, all the players count. So the ones who are making not even close to $1 million, they're not going to say, okay.
But franchise tag's about stars. It's not about kickers.
But we're talking about a CBA.
No, I'm talking about the franchise tag. These guys bitch about it. Franchise tag's for star players. It was built solely for stars. And all the stars do is complain about it. It's like, first of all, the franchise tag is to benefit stars, meaning we're going to overpay you short term, so we don't give you a 5-year deal. Well, Le'Veon Bell's been suspended twice for a drug test. He's been hurt regularly. Dude, you're the highest paid running back this year and probably next year in the league. If you were an employee at my company, even if you were talented, if you didn't show up for work a lot and had failed 2 drug tests, I'm probably not going to give you a long-term deal. I mean, I don't know. The franchise tag gets a lot of heat. Players are... Kirk Cousins is making a fortune with it. And he's like the 17th best quarterback in the league. He's getting paid like Brady. I don't get it.
Okay. Would you like to be franchise tagged?
If somebody paid me, and if I wasn't in the top 8 in my genre or whatever it is, and you paid me like the best, I absolutely... I've always rooted for shorter contracts, not longer ones. I want to renegotiate constantly. Howard Stern taught me that trick. Renegotiate every 2 years. If you have confidence in yourself, you don't want a 10-year deal because the market can change.
Right. Then you just reopen your contract. So the Cavs and Warriors play tonight in Cleveland, and it's going to be the first time that Steph Curry and Isaiah Thomas play against each other because they're both out with injuries for the Christmas Day game. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup to see. But LeBron is already warning people that they shouldn't take anything from this game because they're not quite ready yet for the playoffs.
The IT isn't where he will be, when playoff time hit. And obviously Steph has been playing exceptional basketball since he came back. He had the one little mishap, I believe he hurt his ankle and shoot around, but he's been playing great basketball. So it's going to take a little bit longer for us to get to where we need to be. And we're not the team that we would like to be when postseason start. Playoffs can start tomorrow for them, and I think they'd be ready to go. For us, I don't think we're ready to go right now.
He's right, but what is it's in Cleveland? He's right, but what is with him making excuses for losing now before they even play? This is the second time in 2 weeks that he's done that.
I love his authenticity. And his
come on. What would you think if before the show I said, I'm just going to be really honest with you, Colin. I'm going to have a really bad day. I'm not going to be very good today, but you should just remember that in 2 weeks, I'll be great.
I would say I appreciate your honesty. I'll cut back on your time.
No, you wouldn't. You'd say, do you want to go home and I could put a fill-in for you?
Yeah, Goulet's always on standby.
There you go. You would not accept that. And I don't know why we're accepting that from LeBron all of a sudden.
Christine Williams?
No, that wasn't done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was 2 stories.
I'm sorry.
You just didn't want me to talk anymore about LeBron.
No.
I get it. Because you had no
lost
comeback.
count.
You had no comeback on LeBron. And finally, Luke Walton has been criticized by LeVar Ball, and until now, Lakers management and ownership has been pretty quiet about it. They haven't publicly stood up for their coach, even though other coaches and people around the league have stood up for him, and that is changing now. Jeannie Buss sent out a tweet. She said, on my way to Memphis for Lakers game, dinner with Rob and Luke tomorrow night, barbecue. So she's obviously talking about that she's going to be with Luke. And then Magic Johnson sent out 2 tweets that said, so proud of my Lakers players and Coach Walton for winning their 4th game in a row against the Mavericks. Coach Luke Walton has the Lakers playing some of their best basketball of the season right now, which obviously they're doing this to make Luke Walton feel better. And apparently Jeannie Buss decided that she wanted to do this because she thought that rumors were escalating when we started talking about David Fizdale maybe being the coach of the Lakers, which is not a good look, especially it's hard for Luke Walton to coach under those circumstances.
Take that for data.
Yeah, take that.
By the way, how long is Lonzo Ball out? He's hurt again, isn't he?
I don't know how long he's out for.
He's out. He got hurt.
What does that have to do with this?
So he got, now it's knee. How long is he going to be out for? Short term. Okay. As long as Lonzo's around, they're at least, they don't have to win. At least when Lonzo's there, I think they're a lot more fun to watch because they pass more.
What games are you watching?
I watched them play Dallas this weekend. Not a ton, but I watched them. You know, they played really well. Passed the ball.
But you realize that if Lonzo's playing, that's going to continue the LeVar comments, which means Luke will become increasingly uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know what? When Lonzo plays, they're 4-1. When he does, they're 0-6.
So you would prefer that Luke goes and Lonzo stays?
No, I think
that's probably what's going to happen.
I would never worry. Worrying about what LeVar Ball says is like me worrying about what media critics say. Who cares? Go to work.
A lot of people care. That's why he still is on networks all over the place.
Yeah, but I don't care. I don't care what media critics say. You don't. I don't. So why would I care about a player's dad? Like, if you can't coach in the NBA and deal with daddy, get over it. Get over it. It's like...
It's more than that. I agree with you, but it's more than that. And clearly people do care enough because he's still popping up on TVs for some
I'm not
reason.
saying he's not... people can say he gets clicks or whatever. That I get. Like, he's... Not everybody that's legitimate. I mean, there's a lot of people that get clicks on a lot of sites. But if you can't handle a dad, just deal with it. God, it's just like...
It's one thing to say, though, if you can't handle a dad. It's another thing for management to just stay quiet about it. They need to support the coach.
Yeah, but again, it's the victimization. Deal with it. Be a man. Step up, coach. Just coach. Don't worry about dads.
So it's Luke Walton's coach for being a victim?
Yeah, like Luke Walton is like... If Luke Walton is struggling with a dad... Do you think Popovich would struggle with a dad?
Actually, Popovich made a comment that he didn't think it was appropriate.
Do you think Belichick would struggle with dad? Do you think Tony La Russa... He
didn't appreciate Tom Brady's dad talking about
And
stuff.
they won by 40. It doesn't matter. If you can't handle dads, get out of coaching. This is a big boy world in the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball. And there's, you got big voices in the media. That's like a coach worrying about media. Coach the games. Don't worry about the media talking. If I bother you as a coach, quit. Literally quit. You can't worry about voices in your head and dads and parents and media and boosters, and coach the games. Do you know, even Nick Saban, 2 years ago I was told Nick Saban, there was a booster that was upset with Nick Saban. You know what Nick Saban did? He said, I'm going to go to Texas, and they had to pay him $4 million more a year. He said, next time a booster talks, you'll pay me $15 million a year. That's how you treat, like a stand-up comedian. If you can't handle hecklers, then get out of the business. Because like even Jerry Seinfeld, I've been to a Seinfeld show 3 times. Twice he got hecklers. Deal with it. Deal with it.
This is not your average father.
Okay. He's a louder, goofier one. He's a less... it would be worse if LeVar Ball was like Magic, and he was like a great, great player, and like his words were like important and they resonated. I mean, if LeVar was a great player like Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan came out and said, my son's coach is an idiot, that would be hard. LeVar Ball's a goofball.
Agree.
I mean, like, again, it's... If the dad was legitimate, you'd be like, if Warren Buffett is your dad and he talks about finance, you're like, okay, that guy LeVar Ball's he's a goofball. Like, his words don't mean anything.
I agree, but a lot of people don't.
Christine, the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.